The Phoenix Suns are currently on a 13-game win streak. And me being a Suns fan, I feel obligated to make a video over our recent success and talk about our upcoming future. But like always, I do want to say, if you haven't already, please make sure to drop a like and leave a sub, as it only takes a second and it really does help me in YouTube's algorithm. And now that that's out of the way, let's jump into the video. The first thing I'd like to talk about is all the hate that the Suns are receiving currently and all the hate that they received in the playoffs last year. For some reason, the biggest narrative I hear about this team is that their championship run from last year was all just a fluke. And instead of trying to explain it to y'all, let me just go ahead and show y'all some of the things that I'm talking about. And I know most of this is probably just 13-year-olds who only look at box scores, but some of the tweets that I've seen are just flat out ridiculous.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
And by no means am I trying to sugarcoat it. I understand that last year in the playoffs, the Suns played a bunch of injury-riddled teams. But regardless of who they played, they steamrolled their way to the finals. And were 2 wins away from holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy. And if that isn't enough to convince people that the Suns are real contenders, then let me go ahead and talk about what they've accomplished this year. After a 1-3 start, since then, this team has been on a 13-game win streak. And in that span of games, they've even beat teams like the Hawks, the Blazers, and the Grizzlies. But I would be lying if I said that the Suns weren't just going through one of their easiest stretches of their schedule so far. But regardless of them playing mainly bad teams, they're coming to play each and every night. It still takes a hell of a roster to be able to win 13 games straight. And when you look at this roster, the main name that jumps out is Devin Booker. The scoring level that he brings on a night-to-night basis is the biggest contributor to this Suns team. Even on one of his down years this season, he's still averaging 22.5 points on decent shooting. And to even add on top of that, he's a much improved defender to what he was a couple years ago. And as we all know, in this level of the NBA today, you're going to need 2 all-star level players to actually compete. And that second guy for the Suns is obviously Chris Paul. If you were solely looking at the scoring ability this season from CP, it's one of his worst seasons statistically. But as we all know, he's out there for 100 more reasons than just to score the basketball. Currently, as we speak, he's leading the league in assists per game with just over 10 dimes thrown per night. His court vision is second to none, and it really shows in the fourth quarter of these Suns games. It really does feel like in the last couple minutes of the game, something just clicks in CP's mind where he just goes on the takeover mode. And I know some of that is just him being a veteran, but most of that is him just being one of the most clutch players we've seen in recent history. And to move on from CP3, the next guy I want to talk about is DeAndre Ayton. It feels like when Monty Williams actually draws up plays for Ayton, that he's unstoppable. And that's why it's so frustrating when we won't give him the ball, is because I know he can take over games when he's given the opportunity. He always gets off to great starts in games, and then the Suns will just stop feeding him the ball for whatever reason. And that's what I want to see in the next couple of games from DA, is I want to see them drawing up plays for him specifically and letting him be more active in the offense. Especially when we're going against smaller lineups, because we saw what he did against the Clippers last year when they tried that whole small ball thing. And now that I've talked about the 3 stars, I want to go ahead and move on to what really makes this team special. And that is the depth of this team. On any given night, any player could show up on this team. We've seen it for Mikal Bridges, we've seen it for Jay Crowder, hell, we've even seen it for Frank Kaminsky. And yeah, opposing teams can plan against Chris Paul and Devin Booker all they want, but what you can't plan for is guys like Cameron Payne putting up 25 points. And that's why I will die on this hill. I feel like the Suns have the most complete roster in basketball. And this team still has to play the Knicks, Warriors, and Nets all before the month of November ends. So we're about to figure out how real this Suns team is. And now that I've talked about all the good on this team, I need to talk about some of the things that they need to improve on. And the main point I want to talk about is the Suns always feel the need to play down to their opponents. It doesn't matter if they're playing the Nets or if they're playing the Pistons, they're going to somehow figure out a way to make the game close. And from an NBA fan standpoint, sure, it's good basketball to have close games. But as a Suns fan, I just want us to blow out these bad teams. But instead, we're winning by 4 points against teams like the Spurs. But as long as this win streak keeps up, I'm going to be a happy fan. And especially when we're holding that trophy at the end of the year, I'm going to be even happier. And that brings me to the ending of this video, and I want to leave you guys with a question. Who do you guys think will win the NBA Finals this year, and why? And that's really all I have to say for today. Again, if you guys enjoyed this content and want to see more just like it, make sure to drop a like and leave a sub. And thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.